This question is, there's a two-part question. It's for Warren and Ajit on the first part and for Greg on the second. It comes from Roger Cleffman. He says, several years ago, Mr. Buffett was quoted that a nuclear attack is the greatest risk to Berkshire Hathaway Insurance. Given the present circumstances, what would the fallout be on Berkshire Hathaway Insurance if a nuclear event occurred in the populated world?
We don't have any way of
No.
protecting
There's no way to
against a
protect.
big nuclear attack. I know a man who said, I know what I'm going to do if there's a nuclear war. I'm going to crawl under the table and kiss my ass goodbye.
Well, yeah, and Charlie is in charge of loss control at Berkshire. We have no solution for it,
No, we don't.
and there isn't any solution for it. And that is one risk that Berkshire absolutely has no interest in, even though you can say everybody in the world should have an interest, but it doesn't do us any good. The feeling doesn't do us any good to think about it. So far, so good. And Berkshire does not have an answer, though. There's certain things we don't write policies on because we wouldn't be able to make good on them anyway, if it happened. And everybody would know we wouldn't be able to make good on them. So we're not you have that risk, and there's nothing Berkshire can protect you against. And we've been very lucky so far. Ajit, do you ever get any questions in terms of?
In addition to all what Warren has said in terms of the chance of something like this happening, the additional thing that concerns me about a nuclear situation is my lack of ability to really estimate what our real exposure is in the event of a nuclear event. When you're talking about other big exposures we have, earthquake and hurricane and cyber, I can, with some reasonable degree of accuracy, have a point of view in terms of how large our exposures can be and how big our loss can be. When it comes to a nuclear thing, I sort of surrender. It's very difficult for us to estimate how bad can be. Very many different lines of exposures will be affected by it. And even though in almost all our contracts we try and exclude nuclear as a covered peril, nevertheless, if something like that were to happen, I'm fairly positive that the regulators and the courts will hold it against the insurers, and they'll rewrite the contract and we'll be required to pay. For example, one thing which is already being talked about, we issue what are called fire policies. And these fire policies try and exclude nuclear as a covered peril. But there are several regulators who feel that, gee, if it's a fire policy and if the nuclear attack causes a fire, then how can you exclude fire? And you better include fire. So, debates like that we will have to live with, and it'll be very difficult for the insurance industry to fight back both the regulators and the court systems in terms of what is covered and what is not covered.
And there won't be any regulators or anybody else. So